Okay, there you go, guys. Here's the special tool. This you can clamp in a vise so this thing stands upward. I don't have a vise where I am. I'm not running to get one. Basically, it's going to push down on the retainer, and I'm going to come in here with a pair of snap rings and just undo it. You could actually do this by hand by turning it. But I'm not going to be able to videotape that. Okay, so we compressed it down. I took out the snap ring. There's the retainer. And what do you have? You have 9 return springs pushing this piston back. I think the new ones, I think there's 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Well, lucky this piston's coming right out. Sometimes you could either lay a nice piece of like a 2x6 down and you just tap it upside down and it'll pop, or you could put air pressure to it. This one was coming off, so I didn't bother doing either. Okay, let's look at where your seals ride. Your seal rides in here. Okay, and that seal's on the other part, and then the other seal is here. So the fluid applies to the darker gray area, all inside here. Your one seal is here, which actually is like very tight to it, and then here. So we're going to look at both these surfaces, make sure they're good. Let's clean this up, see what we got. Okay, totally cleaned. I wanted to make sure that there was none of that clutch material anywhere. It seems to have all come out, which is good. I checked that little check ball, the check ball's good. Here are your 2 new seals, here are your old ones. Okay, now we have to make sure the lips are pointing down to seal it. Okay, because the pressure's going to be in here pushing this way. So, I use Vaseline and ATF to put them in. Okay, so I cleaned everything up. I lubricated the surface with Vaseline, ATF. I put this seal on in the center hub, lubricated that the same way. I lubricated this outer piston, outer seal on the piston, wrapped it with electrical tape tight, a couple of turns, put it in a bag, threw it in the freezer for 10 minutes. And that made this seal compress and stay like that. Then I hit it with ATF real quick, and boop, right in. So with that said, we are now going to put these springs in, because that's the next thing. Check out the difference in the springs. Besides the fact that there's one more. They're just a little bit taller. They feel just as stiff when I squeeze them, but I can't get them down to that by hand. So that's going to put a little bit more force on there. So let's put these in, and I'll turn it back on. Okay, so instead of having 3 groups of 3 springs, we now have 5 groups of 2 taller springs. I'm going to clean off that retainer and the snap ring. I'll set up the tool, we'll compress it back down, put the snap ring in, and build the clutch. Okay, that's in. There was no doing that here by hand. I had to go clamp the tool in the vise to do it. It's a lot of spring to compress. So, unfortunately this drum is un-air checkable. So I'd love to check it, considering that one seal is here and not out at the edge. Usually when you rip a seal, you see it come up and you can see it. Unfortunately this one you can't. But it did go in pretty good, so we'll air check it when we're done. Okay, it's done. I'm going to wrap this up in like a plastic bag, let it sit. I have to run and get my feeler gauges tomorrow. I forgot my feeler gauges at work. We'll give it a proper check. If it's off, I'll just get a selective snap ring to take care of it, but we should be on. That's pretty much it. It's all done. Okay. Let's take this bad boy apart and see what we got. Okay, this one's set up a little bit different. Yesterday I called this a Belvedere spring. I must have been thinking of Mopars. It's a Belleville spring. So this one, the pressure plate is shaped a little different, so it could reach down there and be applied. These clutches are a little different, same size, but these are a little different. You gotta bear in mind this clutch pack stays on. when you put the car in gear. It really doesn't go on and off throughout the gears. So as long as they clamp, they're good. So this is going to be a little different setup. This is the spring that returns the piston back. So let's pop out the snap ring that's right over here. And if you look, there's a wave spring, and then I'm pretty sure a snap ring behind it. So let's get her out. Okay, that's out. And here's the piston right in here on this one. And I already looked at this. Look how loose this piston is. It's like the seals are barely making contact. And I'm not sure how cold it is in the garage now. I don't have the heat on anymore. Maybe about 45. But if you ever had a car in the olden days where it didn't shift too good while it was cold, and as it warmed up it got better and better and better, that's because these seals were getting hard and actually worn and shrunk, and they weren't making contact along the sides, and when the clutch would come on or would go to apply, the fluid would blow by. As the seal warmed and got soft, when the fluid would hit it, it would expand like a true lip seal and seal. So yeah, that comes out real easy. It would be very joyful if the new one went in that easy, but they don't. So it shouldn't be that bad. I mean, they are intact, they are still pliable, and a little on the stiff side. I don't know if that's because it's so cold out. I would just say that. Okay, we had a delay. Batteries went dead. Basically what has happened was I pulled this apart. I don't know how far I got in the last thing. And we cleaned it all out. I put a new lip seal here, new lip seal here, reassembled it. Put the little, I put the Belleville spring in, put the little shim, put the wave snap ring in. So we're good to go there. Basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start setting up the clutches. Okay, just checking the spec right here. I'm at 59 thousandths. Okay. And I checked it all around. They're looking for 15 to 35. So think of it this way, guys. You got that Belleville spring in there. Okay, let's pop that out. You have the piston here, which ends there. You have the Belleville spring. Then all the way down in there, you got the reaction plate. So when this piston comes out, it pushes on the Belleville spring, which is locked to the side of the drum. And as it comes, there's a mechanical advantage to push this. So this actually travels further than the clutch pack. So if you make this too big, you're really bending that Belleville spring past where it wants to be. And there's a very good chance you start to snap them inside here. Okay, as well as other things. It affects clutch pack fill rates and stuff like that. So with that, we got a new snap ring. We'll talk about that after it then. Okay, we're down to 20 thousandths, which I like. That's the lowest side of the minimum. So that puts the least amount of travel on that piston and Belleville spring without dragging these clutches. I actually went to a place today called TransStar. Yeah, TransStar. It's actually just once you leave my town, the next town over by about a quarter of a mile. I think they opened up actually about a year ago, and I spotted it the other day, or else I would have never known they were there. And all they sell is transmission parts, period. When you walk into the place, it's a warehouse full of shelves with tranny kits, and then individual, hard parts or whatever it is you need. And I had to run there earlier today because I actually hooked that seal putting it in. I folded it, and I looked and I couldn't find anything wrong with it, but there was just something in my conscience I didn't want to put it in. So me and Junior ran there, and he actually dug through all his individual seals to see if he had one, and he didn't. So I wound up buying a whole complete seal kit. So let me put it this way, pennies on the dollar, brand new. So yeah, I got a load of extra seals, but let me tell you something, it cost me nothing today to get that. So after I set this thing up, okay, I knew I needed a snap ring, so I did it. I did all my measurements, all my miking of this at 74 thousandths. This one's 110, I think it is, or whatever it is. And I went back there with the numbers. He goes, oh yeah, that's the one everybody uses. And he ran and got it for me. So, with that said, on this drum here, you can't get any more clutches in. It started out with 4 and it winds up with 4. But as we discussed earlier on, these clutches are thinner. Okay, and there's no way to squeeze in a steel to take up the area. The steels are too thick. And there's no way, obviously, to get another clutch in here. He did tell me, which I was unaware of, because, like I said, I'm not a trainee guy for all makes and models. I was a trainee guy for Mitsu. That they do make selective steels as well, thicker. So if it gets to the point where a snap ring won't do it, you could add 1 selective steel in there, or 2 or 3, whatever it takes to get to the correct clutch pack clearance that you need. So definitely very knowledgeable. Knew the stuff right off the bat. You understand, this is older stuff. This isn't what they're dealing with all day. But they had the stuff there. So we're good. Let's move on.